Some breaking news from Pakistan. Sources within Pakistan are telling Wion that Kulbushan Jadhav may soon have the right to appeal at a high court. The Pakistani government may amend the Army Act to make a provision under which they may have the right to appeal at a high court. The draft proposal, sources say, has been readied. This is the latest that we are picking from our sources in Pakistan, that Jadhav might have the right to appeal at the High Court. The Pakistan government might amend the Army Act to make a provision under which Jadhav may have the right to appeal at a High Court. Now, the draft proposal, sources say, has been readied. This is the latest that we are picking. Remember, Jadhav has been fighting for an appeal at the High Court for very long, because it was also at the ICJ earlier that the case had been taken, where the ICJ earlier declared that Jadhav had all the right to appeal to the High Court in Pakistan. But remember, the army is extremely dictatorial about these cases, and that is why Jadhav's case has been hung since then. And the latest that we're picking on could just be a turning point for Kulbushan Jadhav's case, because we're being told that Kulbushan Jadhav may have the right to appeal at the High Court, as the Pakistan government is contemplating on amending the Army Act to make a provision under which they may have the right to appeal at a High Court. The draft proposal, as we're being told, is already prepared. It is ready, and this might just prove to be some ray of hope for Kulbushan Jadhav's family and Kulbushan Jadhav, of course, who has been languishing in a Pakistan jail for very, very long now. Earlier, it was the International Court of Justice that had also ruled the case. They said that Kulbushan Jadhav had all the right to appeal to the High Court in Pakistan. They had ordered an effective review and reconsideration of the conviction and the sentence of Jadhav. The ICJ played a very crucial role that time when they closed the trial back in the year April 2017. They had a number of cases from Asian countries. The court, for example, had issued only in July a judgment concerning a dispute between India and Pakistan, which was very delicate and sensitive, as delicate and sensitive as the Jadhav case. But it was in April 2017 that Jadhav, in a bench led by Yusuf, had ordered an effective review and a reconsideration of the conviction. The ICJ said that he has all the right to appeal to a higher court. And what today we are picking from our sources is indeed some big news coming in for India and for Jadhav's family, that he might just have the right to appeal to the High Court in Pakistan, as the Pakistan government is amending the Army Act to make a provision under which he may have the right to appeal at a High Court. We're also learning that the draft proposal is ready. Let's quickly go across to our Pakistan Bureau Chief, Anas Malik, who's joining me live at this moment from Islamabad. Anas, what are you picking from your sources? What can we expect when it comes to, making these amendments to the Army Act, and how crucial could this amendment be?
Well, Akanshi, it's a major move on the part of Pakistani establishment, amending the law, amending the Pakistani Army Act, something that has not been seen previously. Remember, anybody who wanted to appeal against a military court, that was under a constitutional provision under the Article 199, but the Section 133 of the Pakistani Army Act clearly barred them from doing so. Now, Pakistan has contested in the ICJ that Kulbushan Jadhav would be having his right to appeal under the constitutional provisions, but there was no lawful provision for that. The Pakistani side is now going ahead and amending the Army Act in line with the ICJ judgment, so that Kulbushan's case, or precisely other cases against the military courts, could be heard under the civilian courts as well. Additionally, this once it's approved, this will give them a 6 month buffer period to appeal against the military court judgment, something that was not there previously. Pakistan had contested that Kulbushan Jadhav would have the right to appeal under the legal system, but as I said, the lawful provision was not there. Now, the next step is, what I picked up from sources is, at the Ministry of Law, that the draft has been readied. It will be tabled to the Parliament very soon. There are two ways to go about it. Either it can be tabled in the Parliament, first approved from the Parliament, then approved from the Senate and made a formal law. That is option one for the government. And secondly, the option two is that they can also go to the President, get an ordinance, get an executive order that would last for 3 months. It can be renewed at least 4 times under the law, and then after 1 year it would have to be passed through in form of a bill through the Parliament to make it part of a formal legislation. So Pakistan side is trying hard to implement the ICJ judgment as and when it came, because remember it had contested that a coalition would have the right to appeal, but as we speak, the right to appeals provision was not there in the law, but it was there in the constitution, however.
Right,
yes,
and as this certainly would be a welcome move on the part of the Pakistani government and the judiciary as well, as we are seeing, you know, as you said, that this amendment is going to be incorporated. First of all, I'd like to know, will this just be exclusive to Kulbushan Jadhav's case, or will this be looked at as a permanent amendment to the military courts? And how could this just be a turning point of sorts for the military courts, which are supposed to be very draconian?
Well, it will not be specific to Kulbushan Jadhav's case. Yes, Kulbushan Jadhav's case is a start to look at it, but it will not be specific to Kulbushan Jadhav's case. The horizon or the spectrum would be much wider, and that it would give a right to appeal to other civilian court convicts as well, who have been tried by the military court. Having said that, it might just be a setback for the military courts, precisely because remember, the legal provisions, as what I understand, is that if the military courts orders somebody to be hanged the very next day, or perhaps in some time, now they would have to wait for at least 6 months, because that is what the draft agreement would say, that the right to appeal would be there in any civil court for another 6 months. So that would be a setback. And in the case of Kulbushan Jadhav coming back, precisely his 6 months would begin from the 17th of July, from the verdict, when ICJ verdict came. The right to appeal, his right to appeal would start from 17th of July, because remember, the Pakistani military court had sentenced him on the 10th of April in 2017. So if you go by that provision, he would not be having his right to appeal, and that would be basically a violation of the ICJ verdict. Therefore, Pakistani side has been very careful in with regards to this draft agreement, with regards to this amendment of the Army Act, and that the provision and the rights that they are granting to the person who is appealing. Therefore, these 6 months in the case of Kulbushan Jadhav would start from the 17th of July, when the ICJ verdict came.
All right, so this 6 months window is going to prove very crucial when it comes to Kulbushan Jadhav's case. Thank you so much, Anas Malik, for bringing us all those details from ground zero. We will keep a close eye on all the developments.